Yeah, so I'm excited about doing like a double episode today.
Right?
I'm already showered in my pajamas, face
Oh,
oil
okay.
on. I'm not doing shit the rest of the day except making a fucking quesadilla.
Oh, shit.
Okay, you want to go first?
You go first. I feel like I always go first.
Oh my god, it's because I like listening to you talk.
Oh my God, okay, I'll go first.
Oh my god, compliment me some more.
Oh my God, please tell me I'm pretty.
You're so beautiful. Okay, now you go first.
Okay. Um,
Oh wait,
so,
no,
no.
pause. I should go first to lead up to the story you're.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You're still really pretty though.
You're still really pretty, but fuck you, I'm going first.
Okay, so I am talking about Elisa Lamb. And I know that this like has been talked about a lot, but it's still unsolved and it's probably one of my favorite cases. I'm pretty sure I have a theory about what happened. Do you have a
Ooh,
theory about what happened?
I do.
Okay. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I actually wrote like a script for this.
Oh my God. Okay. That's fucking
Okay, so
baller.
I'm gonna try and like read it and not say at all. So we'll see. Because that's my problem. I'm like, okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. In January of 2013, 21-year-old Elisa Lamb was last seen at the historic and infamous Cecil Hotel. 19 days later, her naked body was found in the water tanks on the hotel roof. To this day, it is a mystery what happened to Elisa Lamb. So Elisa was born and lived in Vancouver, Canada. She was visiting California in 2013 alone, which I would never do. I don't know about you, but at 21, going to a whole different country, let alone a city like LA, I would never, like ever.
I would never.
I mean,
Agreed. 110%. Not me. Not there.
and I guess if you're not from LA or the United States, you don't really know what Skid Row is, but even being on the East Coast, I know what Skid Row is. Do you?
No, what's that?
It's like the part of downtown Los Angeles where all the homeless people live, like all the homeless
Oh, okay,
camps.
yeah.
And I mean, there's like thousands upon thousands of homeless people and just like drug activity and prostitution. But that's basically where the Cecil Hotel is. It's like next to Skid Row.
Wow, I would. Okay. Uh-huh.
So anyway, um, so she arrived in California on January 26th, and she went to San Diego first, and then traveled to LA to stay at the Cecil Hotel. And a lot of people think she stayed at the Cecil because it was not as expensive as a regular hotel because there was a lot of drug and other illicit activities that went on there.
Is this hotel from American Horror Story?
Yes, yeah. So
Okay,
that
okay, okay.
that season was kind of based on this hotel because it has so many crazy suicides and murders and just like unsolved cases that surround it. Um, yeah, that was like my favorite season, I think. One of my favorite seasons.
It was a lot for me to take in. Like all the gay butt sex was real hot and heavy.
I didn't understand what the gay butt sex
And
had, and like the
yeah.
latex dude, I don't understand what that latex dude had to do with anything.
Yeah.
He was just kind of
That's like
there.
what threw me off. Other than that, I was into it.
Yeah, it was a really good season. My favorite was the Coven that was filmed in New Orleans. That was my favorite. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
So, Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression. She did have her meds with her. I think it's strange that, and it possibly like a cultural thing because she is of like, her parents are from Hong Kong. They're immigrants from Hong Kong, and
hmm
it's probably like a cultural thing. They never talked about her mental illness. Like she had the medicine for it, but I think that she got it
What?
herself because she was like, technically an adult at 21, but her parents and her family never talked about it. Almost like they didn't really want to accept it.
I did not know that. Okay, this is new news to me.
Oh. And a lot of times, okay, so she's bipolar and she has depression, but a lot of times in your early 20s, that's when schizophrenia starts to like rear its head. That's when like you start having schizophrenic episodes in your late teens, early 20s. And so that's another theory that she was just kind of like had a mental breakdown. But anyway, I'll get to that. Um, Her family basically said, they knew about her mental illness. She had no suicide attempts in the past, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like I said, she didn't have a breakdown while she was in another country. So the Cecil Hotel was built in 1927. I'm going to talk about that for a minute because it's a really creepy place. It was at one time when it was first built a place for like elite movie stars and just really famous people wanted to be seen there and did stay there. But later on into the 40s, 50s, and all the way up until basically the mid 2000s, it was just a place for like prostitution and a lot of drug activity, being that it was near Skid Row. And it was also known to like frequenters and local people to LA as the Suicide.
Oh,
Like
really?
not the Suicide Hotel, just the Suicide, because there were so many documented cases of suicide. The first like suicide case was as early as 1931. But get this hotel was also the last place that Elizabeth Short was seen. Do you know who Elizabeth Short is?
Yeah.
The Black Dahlia.
Yeah,
I thought
girl.
that was wild. So that was the last place she was seen. She was making a phone call in the lobby in 1947, and this is still like a super well-known case today. It's still talked about in basically every true crime podcast or true crime TV show. The Cecil was also home to Richard Ramirez, who was the Night Stalker. And that is a wild case all in itself. Like,
Yeah, that's a whole nother like fucked up.
crazy.
That's like a whole and like all this craziness is around this hotel, which I think is like interesting.
Yeah.
Like
It's
all this
almost like it's
negative
cursed.
bullshit. Yeah, like all
Yeah.
this negative energy and like weirdness.
Yeah, it's really wild. Like we could probably do a whole episode on the Cecil, just going back and forth with all the documented cases that have happened there. But anyway, so Elisa had a blog that she had started in 2010, and in her blog, which she kept up with while she was traveling, she basically was talking about how she was having trouble in school. She had to drop a few classes. She was really struggling with her mental illness, which they could go hand in hand. She was having issues with that, and so she was doing bad in classes, or she was doing bad in classes, and that was like triggering her mental illnesses. How many fucking times can I say
You know, don't you know?
Like,
Don't you know?
don't you know?
Don't you know?
Jesus. I'm gonna stop saying. Um, where was I? Okay, so while she was gone, Elisa contacted her parents every day. That was one of the um, things they told her she had to do while she was gone because they really were skeptical of her whole decision to travel alone to another country at 21, which I
I
would
mean,
never let my
yeah,
child.
alone. Like, why would she go there alone?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people say, because there's so many theories around this case because it is unsolved. A lot of people say, well, she needed to get away because she was, on the verge of a mental breakdown and she needed to be alone. But when I'm on the verge of a mental breakdown, like, I don't know, because I'm not bipolar, I do have depression, but I want to be in my bed, in my pajamas, crying. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be traveling to another country, spending money, and just, I don't know. But everybody's different. The last known, okay, so on January 31st, her parents did not hear from her, and so they contacted the hotel. The hotel manager told them that nobody had seen her or, talked to her. And so at that point, they contacted the LAPD and they got involved, and then I think 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks, a few days later, her parents flew from Canada to be there to help search for her, which I would have done the same thing.
Oh, hell yeah.
The last known sighting, besides the elevator footage we're going to talk about in a minute, of Elisa was by a bookstore manager, and the name of the bookstore was The Last Bookstore, which I think is really ominous
What?
and weird. Yeah. Yeah. It was a bookstore like right off of Skid Row, so it was super close to the hotel she was staying at, and she just, walked there. And the bookstore manager said her name was Katie, and she said that she remembers Elisa, and she was very talkative. She was very happy. She bought books as souvenirs to give to her family when
Okay,
she
that's
got
a
back to
good
Canada.
friend.
What?
That's a good friend.
That's a good friend.
Yeah, like buying books for their family.
Oh,
Like, what the fuck? That's such a good friend.
I know, right? And Katie said she remembers a conversation because Elisa said she was worried the books were going to be too heavy to travel with. And she said she was just really talkative and happy. Didn't seem like she was, um, going through anything. But I don't know if you have ever experienced talking to someone or experiencing like having someone in your life that was bipolar, but there are extreme highs and extreme lows,
Yeah.
and so she
It's
could have been,
like, it's really like, it's literally like people say, like, it's like flipping a switch. Like, 1 second they'll be really happy, and then they'll be like sad, crying, and upset. And then they'll flip again, and then it'll be a whole nother scenario. It's all within like not even a minute of each other. It's crazy.
I just checked to make sure you were recording the call.
Oh my God, I'm glad you checked, am I?
Yes, you are. Um, yes, I mean, people with bipolar disorder, it's like a flip of a switch. So yeah, she might have been really happy while she was at the bookstore, but that doesn't mean that, something didn't change later that day or later, during her trip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so February 15th, the LAPD released elevator footage, which was a week after she had disappeared, and the elevator footage showed Elisa alive.
Right.
Right. Which,
Yes.
if you have not already seen the elevator footage, which I'm pretty sure most people have because it was on like the world news, it was on all kinds of news
Oh my
channels.
gosh, definitely go watch it. Like
Yeah.
pause this and go watch it if you haven't. It's like really short, but it's like really erratic behavior.
It's really, really wild. So basically, Elisa enters. She's wearing a red zip-up hoodie, um, over a gray t-shirt, and she has black shorts on, which the black shorts have always been weird to me because they're like men's basketball shorts.
Yeah, they're like really baggy. I mean,
I,
I don't know. People wear weird stuff to bed,
yeah,
so maybe it was like her pajamas.
that's true.
Because
It
like
might have
especially when
been
you go on vacation, I'm not like, damn, let me pack this nighty, bitch. I'm like, what kind of bleach stained shirts can I wear to bed so I can pack light?
the most comfortable. So yeah, you're
Hmm.
right. That might have been. And maybe she was like going to a vending machine because she had on flip-flops and just like probably had on no bra because I never wear a bra unless I go out in public. And even at hotels, when I'm just going to a vending machine, I'm like, you know what? Let me just throw on a hoodie.
Right?
Let me go down to the lobby and just in a hoodie. It's fine. Okay, so she enters the elevator. She enters from the left and goes to the control panel where all the floors are. She appears to select several floors and then she steps back into the corner, almost like she didn't want anyone to see her that was walking by. After
Yeah.
a few seconds, the door fails to close. She steps up to it, leans forward so her head is like through the door. She looks in both directions and then quickly steps back into the elevator. It's just really erratic, not natural movements. So she's backing up against the wall and then into the corner near the control panel, and the door this whole time remains open, which is so strange, but there might be, do you know, is there like a trigger on an elevator for doors to stay open? Because I don't think I've ever seen one.
I think it's like if you power the elevator off, like when fire rescuers are coming, like that key
Yeah.
switch where they can push the doors open, but it's powered off. It's not like a switch to keep it open, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
At least from my experience with elevators, which I am not an elevator technician, don't fucking come for me.
I'm actually terrified of elevators, and it's kind of embarrassing to tell people that, but even if it's like fucking 3 floors, I get major anxiety in elevators. I'm so scared that the wires are gonna
I
snap.
I ride an elevator up to the second floor every day at work, and I guess it's such a short ride that I literally don't give a fuck. But the elevators, like that have glass and you can look
Oh,
out as you're riding up the
I
elevators.
will not look out them.
I will not even get close to the wall because I'm like, I'm gonna fall through. This is it. The glass is gonna disappear and I'm gonna plummet to my death.
I think I just got so worked up when I was a child watching all these movies where elevator cables would snap. Like that happens
Yeah.
all the time.
Like that's just a common thing.
Yeah,
Very
and I
common
just get
occurrence.
so paranoid, and I literally have this thought process when I step into an elevator. How am I going to handle it if we start to drop? Am I going to like drop and be flat? Am I going to just stand there? Like, what's going to happen when we smash against the ground? Is it immediate death? Are we going to lay there and suffer? Like, my mind is so fucked up when I get in an elevator.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
And if we ever were to go to like the Empire State Building, I would probably have to take a Xanax before I got in that elevator. I would never. Anyway, that's my horror story with my mind when I get in elevators.
Honestly, mine's the ocean, and we can talk about this much later, but the ocean fucks me up.
Yeah, girl. I've never been out well, okay, I lie. Well, no, I've never been out to open sea. What's that channel in Florida that's like really wide and it goes along the coast? It's on the Gulf Shore. I don't even fucking
I
know.
live here and I don't know.
Okay. Well, I've been like there, but I've never been into deep sea because that shit is scary, and we will talk about that. We
Yeah.
will. Because that's the. I'm gonna stop. Okay. So the door remains open. She walks to it again and stands in the doorway, leaning on the side. She suddenly steps out into the hall, then to her side, back in, looking to the side, then back out. So she's like basically moving in and out of the elevator, just being really, really odd. She then steps sideways again, and for a few seconds, she's mostly invisible behind the wall, and she has her back to just out. So she steps out of the vision of the camera of the elevator. So the doors at this point should shut because she's nowhere really near the doors where it would trigger them to stay open, but still the doors remain open. Her right arm can be seen going up to her head, and then she turns to re-enter, putting both hands on the side of the door like she's grasping it. She then
Hmm.
goes to the control panel, presses more buttons, and like multiple times presses the same button. She returns to the wall, putting both hands over her ears, and then just standing there, and the door remains open. She like rubs her forearm, she waves her hands, her fingers are like oddly outstretched, and this is where a lot of people say she was possessed because of the way her hands and fingers look like they're just like
Noodles. They're like long
yeah.
ass fucking noodles. They're like Slenderman noodles.
Oh my god, it's crazy. Um, so after she backs to the wall again and walks away to the left, it finally closes. I think it's really important when we talk about the elevator footage to know or to note that it looks like time is missing. Like it looks like time has been cut from the footage. You can look at the little timestamp in the bottom, and it looks like something is missing. And then if you look really, really close at Elisa's mouth, it's pixelated, almost like they're trying to censor her mouth, so you can't see what she's saying, which is
Yeah.
fucked up. Anyway, so that's basically the story of Elisa Lamb. They did find her body on February 19th on the roof, like I said, in the water tanks. People reported that the water was tasting foul and it smelled funny.
Oh God, this makes me so fucking sick every time I hear this.
I want to vom in my mouth every time I hear this because I'm so weird about water. I will not drink out of hotel water faucets. I get like filtered water.
Ugh.
I'm so weird about water.
Ugh. So anyways,
So,
their water was smelly.
yeah, and it was discolored. Ugh, anyway. So the maintenance guy goes up to the top of the water. In the top of the water tank itself, to lift it up is 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, it's heavy as fuck. And he
Yeah. So
tells
people are like,
her,
oh, 20 pounds, that's no big deal. She was not trying to like shit on girls, but she was a young lady,
and she
okay?
was
She's not some
5'1".
fucking, Yeah, she's shorter than I am, so I can barely pick up my baby. Imagine picking up a fucking water tank when you're tweaking, okay?
Yeah. And to get to the top of the water tank, you had to climb a 10-foot ladder. Okay, and I mean, because that's how tall they were. They were 10 feet. The opening was 16 feet, so it was actually a pretty small, like circular opening. Anyway, they the maintenance guy found her. He lifted the lid, and she was naked at the bottom of the tank, and her clothes were in there with her, but she was not wearing them. Also, some more of her belongings were in there with her, and her cell phone was nowhere to be found. It was not on her. It was not in the water tank. It was not in her hotel room, and they still cannot find it to this day. So they find her in the water tank, and that's kind of where it ends because there's really no leads. A lot of theories are, she had a mental breakdown, she stopped taking her medicine, and she just like went off the deep end. She went up to the roof and tried to go swimming, and the lid like fell back onto her and she couldn't lift it to get out. Some more theories are she was possessed because the hotel had so much evil energy surrounding it that she just, was possessed, and that possession led her to putting herself in the water tank. A lot of people think that she was being chased or like stalked by somebody. That's why she was acting so strange in the elevator, and that he or she put her in the water tank. But one thing to think about with that is, even though she was small, she was 5'1", to carry a limp body up a 10-foot ladder and then to lift a 20-pound lid, I just feel like that's a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that's crazy. Like, and of all the places to go and things to do, I don't know about you, but I am not an expert on what's on top of my hotel roof.
No.
That is
That's
not
the
one of the
last place I
things.
want to be.
That's like one of the last things that I research when I'm looking on the fucking Hilton hotel. What's your hotel roof look like? Like, how do you know like
Also,
what's up there?
they
Like,
say it
how do
was
you know
really
that's
hard to get up
there?
there.
Yeah, like how do you know it's even up there? And then once you're up there and you see that, you're like, yep, this is it. Like, what is that whole situation even about in itself?
Right. Supposedly, according to the hotel manager, that door to the roof stayed locked at all times, and it had an alarm on it that would trigger the hotel staff. But because it was such like a sketchy area and there were so many illegal things happening in that hotel, a lot of people say, we go up on the roof all the time. It's never locked. You can just like walk up there and nobody would know. So it's still a mystery. Nobody knows. My theory is meds were found in her system, 2 different antidepressants and a mood stabilizer, but she was not taking her medicine for her bipolar disorder. So my theory is she just kind of snapped and tried to go swimming and just
But
died.
so what? So like your that's your theory.
Yeah.
So your theory is she gets into this difficult place and she's like, time to take a swim.
Well, I mean, I see your point, but I don't know. You don't know. Maybe she was so fucked up, she thought, well, there's no pool. Let me go swim in the water tank. I mean, I have no idea. What do you think it was?
I think it was like drugs. I
Yeah.
think it had
But
to have
there were
been
no
drugs.
drugs in her system when they did the autopsy. They said the only drugs she had in her system were her antidepressants and a mood stabilizer.
Then I think it must have been like suicide.
Yeah. But
Like,
why
'cause
would she
my
get
first instinct
naked?
was like, all right, it's drugs because of where she was located. It's
Yeah.
hella sketchy. Um, and then I was thinking, I didn't think murder. Like, I don't think that someone would be able to shove her body like
Yeah,
up
no.
there. Yeah.
That one's just
Um,
completely out for me.
um, but then I guess if there was no drugs found in her system, then maybe, I don't know. Okay. as a medical professional that I'm retired, I don't know how that works because like if you are on drugs and your body's in water, does Osmosis Jones fucking come through in his police car and take it out into the water? Like how does that work? You know what I mean? If you get that Osmosis Jones reference, you're a real 90s kid.
Osmosis Jones.
I used to love that show.
I only watched it once. Anyway, I see what you're saying. I mean, it might, but it wasn't. It was only like 19 days after she was dead that they found her. I mean, her body was really
It was
bloated.
there for like a really long time. So like that's my thing. Like yeah, they found some drugs, but after your body is in water like that, it absorbs the water and it gets all puffy and gross. So like doesn't that fuck with your I don't know. But I think it was literally it was a suicide because she's in this country all by herself. She already has like mental problems. You're staying at this hotel, which is sketchy as fuck. I
Yeah.
think she just literally went off of the deep end at one point and then she just like killed herself. But then it's like, why did she do it in that way? And how did she even make it up there? How did she get that lid off? Because you know how people are like, oh, people sometimes get superhuman strength. So maybe she was hiding from someone and like
Yeah.
she was up there and like she went to go hide and then got stuck. Because I definitely don't think it was a murder, but I think maybe someone could have been chasing her or something. Because that whole thing and the in the elevator when she's like making motions and like talking to someone that you can't see,
Yeah.
like that's
No.
suspicious to me.
One thing to note about this case that I think is really important, she was moved, so they had like hostel style rooms there where multiple people could stay in one. Okay.
Before you do that, this is a emergency. Shout out to Emily. She just texted me in all caps saying, "Hi, I just turned someone on to your podcast." So shout out to my bitch Emily for being the real MVP. Emily, you got a mid podcast shout out. Okay, continue.
She is amazing. I love
She
her
is.
so much. This is her
Yes.
second shout out.
Yeah, for real. Fucking, I love you, bitch.
Oh my gosh. I love her so much. I'm gonna text her after we're done and be like, "Thank you, bitch, for supporting us. Now go leave us a review." Um, okay, she was moved from a hostel style room. This is according to the hotel manager. She was moved to a room by herself because people in the hostel style room were complaining of her odd and erratic behavior. Okay, so it could be suicide due to not taking her meds, not being in a good headspace, because if she was already starting to act a little crazy, that might have been her breaking point. And what we see at the elevator might have been her having a psychotic episode and seeing things. I've never had a psychotic break, so I don't know what kind of shit your mind is seeing or telling you to do or how you act. I've never seen someone do it. I've never seen someone have a break like that. Have you?
No, yeah, no. See, my experience with like any mental illness has been from nursing, and it's not necessarily like psychotic breaks. It's more
Yeah.
like actually like I've seen and been around people who are bipolar and things like that, but I've
Yeah.
never seen anybody actually have like a psychotic break. But I have been around people who have been like mentally ill, which are, in my opinion, like two different things
Right.
because, it's not the same. But I could just imagine that it's terrifying.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I remember when I was little, one of our neighbors, I don't even know if I should say this. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not gonna say her name. One of our neighbors had bipolar disorder, and it got really bad after her husband died, and her kids were already grown and gone. But I just remember one night we had a snowstorm, and it was like really late at night. She came over fully dressed with sleds and like begged my parents for us to all go sledding at the country club.
What?
She was on an extreme high. What is that called? Is there a name for that?
I
Like
don't know.
I don't know. She was on a high. I mean, and my parents let us go. We went with other neighborhood
What?
kids. Right? Right?
Sorry. Elizabeth did what?
And I was young-ish, so I can't remember if my parents went with us, but I do remember a few other neighborhood kids um, went with us. I mean, it was fun, but not long after that, she had a really, really extreme low, and it was really wild seeing that as a kid and just thinking, oh my gosh, this is like a really fun as fuck adult. But really she was having an episode.
That's, yeah, an episode. Because I was going to say that, but then I was like, that is not a technical term.
Yeah.
She was having an episode. What's that? You know, an episode.
Like an episode. It's totally a term. Anyway, that's my only experience, but that is the Elisa Lam case. That is what I know on it. That's my theory. So can we take a break real quick before we talk about yours so I can take my dog to poop?
Yeah.
Okay. BRB.
Okay.
I get outside and there's a baby pit bull, like a blue pit.
A baby?
A baby. Like so little, was probably a Christmas present, so they didn't have it on a leash. And it was a girl because he kept saying, come here, girl.
Aww.
Anyway, my dog.
Anyways, this bitch
is like a 65-pound German Shepherd, and she's such a bitch. So she sees the little pit bull, and he's like, the pit bull's walking over to me because it's a puppy and she knows no evil in the world.
Literally no evil.
Piper goes like full heckles, all the hair on the back of her neck stands up, and she starts bouncing. She's barking so hard. She's bouncing on like all four paws, roaring, and she has a really scary bark. And
I heard her barking.
This little baby just stands there and like sits down in the middle of the parking lot and just stares at her like, why you acting up, bitch?
The baby said, this is pure evil.
So I had to pull her away.
Oh my God.
And then I scolded her the whole time she was pooping about how anything that's smaller and cuter than her is always just, she always is so mean to them. Even Kitty. Anyway, she's done. She's not going to annoy me anymore, so let's hear your story.
All right, so my story is an urban legend that fits with your story. It's called the Korean elevator game, and basically a lot of people went on this about how they thought that this is the game that she was playing.
What?
So they thought that it had nothing to do with her depression or her mental illnesses. They didn't think that anybody murdered her. They think that she successfully played the elevator game, the Korean elevator game. But the problem is that she played it wrong. Something must have happened, and she did it wrong. So if you don't know what this game is, it's basically, it has 3 rules. You need 1 player. It requires a building that has at least 10 floors with an elevator. And that's it. Like, so the rules are, it's 1 person, 1 building, it has to be 10 stories high with an elevator.
So like 1 person in the elevator.
Yeah, like 1 player, technically, because I guess it's like a game. So yeah. 1 player. So the instructions, also disclaimer, I'm not telling anybody to do this because this shit, like, don't come for me if you play this game, okay? Because I'm telling you the rules, but don't fucking come for me. We're
telling you not to play it, so it's on you if you play it.
Yeah, this is all on you. I'm not having waivers signed here. This is all on y'all. So the instructions is you enter your building of choice. It can be at any time of day. Nothing crazy, and you get onto the first floor alone. So basically you enter the elevator. Do not proceed if there's anybody else in the elevator with you. Press the button for the 4th floor. When the elevator reaches the 4th floor, do not get out. Instead, remain in the elevator and press the button for the 2nd floor. When you reach the 2nd floor, remain in the elevator. Press the button for the 6th floor. Same thing. When you get to the 6th floor, stay in. Press the button to the 2nd. When you get to the 2nd, press it for the 10th. When you get to the 10th, press it to the 5th. When you reach the 5th floor, a young woman may enter the elevator. Do not look at her. Do not speak to her. She is not what she seems. Press the button for the 1st floor. If the elevator begins ascending to the 10th floor instead of descending to the 1st, you may proceed. If the elevator descends to the 1st floor, exit as soon as the doors open. Do not look back. Do not speak. If you reach the 10th floor, you may enter. Choose to get off the elevator, or you may stay in. If you choose to get off and the woman entered the elevator on the 5th floor is with you, she will ask you, "Where are you going?" Do not answer. Do not look back at her. You will know whether you have arrived at the other world by one indication and one indication only. The only person present is you. Then you have your rules for your return trip. It says if you choose to stay on the elevator at the 10th floor, you choose not to get off. You press the button for the first floor. If this doesn't work, keep pressing it until it finally does. When the elevator reaches the first floor, exit as soon as the door opens. Do not look back. Do not speak. If you choose to leave the 10th floor and do whatever you choose to do in the other world, you must use the same elevator to return in which you arrived. When you enter the elevator, you have to press the buttons in the same order as you did in step 2 through 8 for venturing out. You must finish at the 5th floor. When you reach the 5th floor, press the button for the first floor. It will ascend to the 10th, and then you must press the button you used to cancel the ascension before you reach the 10th floor. After you reach the first floor, so basically it's like you're doing everything backwards.
Yeah.
After you reach the first floor, check your surroundings very carefully. If anything seems off, even the smallest detail, do not exit the elevator. If you detect something wrong, repeat step 2 until your surroundings look as normal as they can. Once you're confident you have returned to your own world, you may exit the elevator. So basically, this whole elevator game is like a portal into what they call other world. It is another world, but you're the only person in it. I don't know why someone would want to go there. Yeah, I don't know why anybody would want to go there. I don't know why this is appealing to some people. I don't know why people fucking try it because it sounds absolutely fucking terrifying to me.
Yeah, and so supposedly, okay, so if you have these rules, that means someone has successfully done it before, right?
Right. So I have a story
Okay.
that I found that's someone who has done it, and it's their account. I'm doing this research today. There's a lot of, I don't want to say trolls because they aren't really trolling. I have a lot of storytellers that I've come across where basically you're reading the story and it seems pretty good. And then it gets to this point where it is so outlandish. You're like, this isn't real. Someone made this up for shits and giggles. Next. And
like a creepypasta.
Yeah, but it's like it's kind of like a shitty creepypasta because I was reading a pretty good one and I was like, this is some good shit. And then it got to the part where the girl got on the elevator and then it all just went to shit and I was like, fuck this story. I couldn't even finish it. I was like, this is so stupid.
Fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, fuck this shit, I'm out. Close tab.
Oh my.
Before I tell this other story, the reason why I became so obsessed with this is because I heard about your story and that was brought up. It was like, oh yeah, they think that she might have been playing this game. And I was like, what the fuck is this game? And it just blows my mind because what she was doing was what you're not supposed to do in the game. Like she was getting off the elevator when clearly they're like, don't get off the elevator, bitch. Yeah. And she was getting on and off the elevator. She was talking to someone that if that was the girl, like, and she's talking to them, she fucked up. But then the really twisted urban legend side of me is like, the reason she's dead is because she played the game and she did it wrong. She talked to the woman and now she's dead.
Okay, well, I mean, I could see that.
Because when watching the clips of her in the elevator, I don't know, like, when they start filming, you know what I mean? Like, is this whole, like, the footage is not her doing the elevator game because you could really tell, like, if she's pressing this button or that button or that button. But then her body is kind of in the way of the buttons, so you can't really see what she's pressing. So you can't actually tell if she's playing it. But a lot of people say that based off of the Korean elevator game, that's what she was doing.
Wow.
So, and then so people say that the lady that comes to hang out with you in elevator 5, or in floor 5, she's demonic. And I also read, so the story that I'm going to read now is like that she's almost like if you growl, I will kick your hoe ass.
You talking to the baby or JD?
JD, there's a bird outside. It's being a bird, and he's not happy about it, living its life.
So, you know how on And That's Why We Drink, they're so nice to their pets?
Oh my God. Yes.
And you're like, JD, I will murder you. And I'm like, Piper, stop whining.
We are literally the trash of the podcast realm. We are just fucking trash.
I promise my animals
God.
are so spoiled and so loved. But like, if you have a German Shepherd, you know that they whine constantly. Blech. I hate it.
Well, it's like my dog is just such a grumpy son of a bitch. Like I love cuddling with him at night and he's so fun. We go on WALKS, but like he's such a grump. It's a bird. The bird is living its life and he's growling like, no. You can't live your life.
Get out my yard, bitch.
Right? Like
Just go ahead and take me back to Mimi's.
yeah, can we just turn this whip around? Like I already smell there's no spaghetti there waiting for me.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
JD, poor baby.
um So this is a story. It's from Jacksonville, Florida, my home state or whatever. So I don't know if these people are meth
City.
or not. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if they're meth or not, but because it's a Florida story. So basically, it's a guy and his friend. So like with the original rules that I read, it says that it takes one player, one building with 10 stories, and one elevator. You can allegedly have more than just one person doing it with you as long as you do it everything the same. So like if you press the fourth floor and one person gets off, well, you fucked up everything. You have to like start
Yeah.
all over.
Okay, so you
Also,
can have someone with you, because I think I'd
yeah.
want to have someone with me.
Oh, fuck yeah. First of all, I wouldn't be doing this. Second of all, I need a fucking scary buddy with me, like a scared buddy, because I can't do this. And
AKA
then, and then what's really fucking wild is a lot of the stories that I were reading that might have been true or not. Everyone's like, so we did it around 3 a.m., the witching hour. And I was like, the fuck for? I would be doing it at like
God.
noon on a Monday when it's like, what? Um, so anyways, him and his friend show up at a hotel. They show up at the building. It has more than 10 floors. And the elevators are arranged like if you were to walk into a hallway, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the other side. They said that they waited for people in front of us to catch the elevator, and we pressed the button together, and elevator 2 opened up. Now, to begin the ritual, it says to be alone and not to film. So the not filming part is like something that's come about later. And basically they were going against what they were saying because they wanted to film it to see if anything ever happened. And
Yeah.
then 2, they wanted to do it together because they were scared shits and just like me. So they were filming this whole thing. So the instructions say to go up to the 4th floor, then down to 2nd, 6, 10, 12, and whatever the fuck. And then the girl is supposed to come in on 5, and then, the rules already said. So they're saying that's not how it worked for us. We went 4, 2, 6, 2, 10. Then on the 10th floor, I hit the button for the 5th floor. But instead of going down to the instead of going down, the elevator jumped to the 15th floor. And a very tall man with pale skin and blonde, almost white hair was in the elevator as soon as the doors opened, before the bell signaled the stop of the elevator. My first thought was, shit, we're going to have to restart because this guy fucked up the pattern. That would be me. I'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
But he hit the button for the 5th floor, which was the floor we were supposed to go to. I thought it was pretty strange for him to go from the 15th floor to the 5th floor and get off. But we went back to the ground floor and did the ritual over anyways. When we got to the 5th floor, no girl appeared, and we went right back down to the 1st floor. My friend, however, did notice a picture in the elevator of a girl in an advertisement. This picture was only in elevator 2. Now we leave to go buy cigarettes, retrace our path back to the hotel, noticing the empty pack of cigarettes was moved to a different ledge than where I had left it. So the beginning of the story, they were outside smoking.
Yeah.
I skipped that because I didn't think it was relevant. I was wrong. Sorry. At this point, I'm thinking strange, but all explainable because we didn't follow the rules. But here's where things get crazy. We go back to the hotel, and I leave my phone with my friend while he's filming the elevators on the 1st floor as I try the ritual by myself. This time,
Why?
I know, right? Right? This time, however, elevator 1 opened, even though we tried the button a few times. Nothing happened, and I made it back to the 1st floor. The only thing was I heard a whistle on the 2nd floor when the doors opened. I didn't mention this to my friend. However, when I got off the elevator, he asked me why I was on the 5th floor for so long. I told him I just let the doors open and came back to 1. Now it was his turn to try it by himself. This time, elevator 6 opened. So, remember, in that hallway, and they have, 1 through 4, and then,
Yeah.
5 through 8 or whatever. I stayed outside the elevator doors and watched the numbers of the floors he was taking. When the elevator stops on a floor, there's an arrow that pops up or down depending which way the elevator is headed. When he got to the 10th floor, the arrow completely disappeared. When he came back down, all was normal. We left, and he asked me if I heard anything on the second floor and to watch the video from when I went up, like when he went up. Both of us heard a whistle on the second floor, and in the video, there were two orbs of light which could be seen as a reflection on the ceiling, except these orbs switch colors between red and green and fade in and out depending on which floor they were on. Now, I don't know if this is a coincidence, but the guy does mention that red and green are their favorite colors. I don't know.
Interesting.
Mine's gray, so it'd be like, wow, there's fucking dust in the sky. Great. Dirty.
Your favorite color is gray?
I love gray. Bitch, my entire house is gray. I love my men. Gray.
Mine is too. My favorite color, I'm so extra, is either cream or mauve.
Okay, I love mauve. First of all, that's like a purple gray. So
that was the color of your bridesmaid's dress in my wedding, I think.
Yeah, I fucking love them.
Or cream. I like navy too. Anyway, go ahead.
Wow, your orb is a grandma.
Yeah, it is. Give me a cardigan.
Can I just have a cardigan floating in above my elevator? Thanks. So of course they were filming this and doing all this shit at 3 a.m. So they end up leaving that night and then they come back another day. So it says we go back to the hotel and do the ritual. Nothing abnormal happens, but I have a very odd sense of accomplishment. A gut feeling that something is a little bit off. So then they go home. So first of all, what a weird fucking accomplishment to feel. Like you're like, oh yeah, we left, we did it, came back, did it again, nothing happened again, but I felt uncomfortable, so I'm happy about it. Like what the fuck? So then when they're home, they start watching the videos and doing a little bit more research. And the fact that the large man interrupted our ritual to go to the same floor we were trying to get to, plus everything else that has happened, had me intrigued. I believe that aliens created okay, I'm going to stop here. So this is where his theory comes into play.
Yeah.
Basically, he thinks that when the tall man came in on the floor instead of the 5th floor, when that tall guy came in, he believes that that was a Nordic alien. And I don't know if you've ever heard about what the fuck a Nordic alien is.
I think I have, but I don't remember.
So Nordic aliens are basically humanoid aliens that are supposed to come from the Pleiades, whatever you fucking pronounce that.
Pleiades?
Pleiades. Pleiades. But they look like basically Nordic people, like really, really tall, like 6 to 7 feet with like white hair, like blue eyes, really, really light skin tone. And they're believed to be a version of alien, like out in outer space. So this guy is going on this saying that he believes that this whole other world situation was somehow crossed with some sort of teleportation with the Nordic aliens. So the person, that tall blonde or tall white-haired man that got on the 15th floor, that got off at the 5th floor, was like a Nordic alien and he came into contact with one via this. And I know I'm saying this right now, and earlier I was trash talking all these other stories, and I think I sound like a sociopath being like, this is the most normal one I found. But the shit I was reading about what people were saying when they encountered the woman coming on the 5th floor. It was just fucking wild because one, they tell you not to look at her, right? So the people that were describing her, I was like, this can't be, because you're literally describing her. How can you describe something you can't see?
Right.
You can describe sensations. Like you could say, okay, she came on the elevator and she was standing 2 inches away from me. I could hear her breathing, blah, 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 blah. But you can't look at her and say, she had long black hair, blah, 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 blah. I was like, fake, fake, fake. Like, no. And then I was reading some stories that were saying that the lady would try to talk to them and be like, oh, what are you doing out so late? Just trying to get, and then it became more and more aggressive because people weren't responding to her. Like she started cussing them out and threatening their lives. and they just basically had to finish the sequence in order to get off on the first floor. I also found some information that when people got to the 10th floor, I've read different things. What it's supposed to be is complete blackness, like there's no lights, nothing. It's your same world, just no power, and cell phone service doesn't work there. And in the distance, you'll see a red cross illuminated, which is terrifying. Why would you be trying to do this? And then people have like gone to explore. I don't know how far they've gone, but then when they come back, they say that things are never the same. And then the last one that I read was someone had done the whole thing, got off on the 10th floor, but the 10th floor, they described it as the same hotel that they were in, but it was very sterile, like very like bleachy, white, crisp clean, like very unnatural.
Like an institution?
Yes, but the hallways looked never ending on both sides. And they got back on and tried to redo it, like to go back, and it brought them back up to the same floor again. And they had to do it 3 times to like get back to the first floor again. And they still said it was like, it wasn't okay. Like when they got back to the first floor, they said it was still like too like sterile. And I feel like sterile is a weird word to use to describe it, but it's also like the best word because
I totally get what you mean.
Sterile is like, you know. But yeah, so that's the account that they thought that she was doing. And that's why they think that she ended up in the water tank, because they think that she might have done the whole elevator thing wrong and that something must have happened and somehow she ended up in there. Like she didn't put herself in there, she like appeared in there.
Oh wow. But naked?
Yeah. I mean, listen, if a tiny 10-story building can transport you into another fucking dimension, she can end up in there fucking naked.
Damn. That kind of blows my mind. And like, part of me, I guess the part of me that questions everything and like wants to know answers to these things, wants to do it, but then the sane part of me is like, why, bitch?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know. Because, okay, so there's all these accounts saying that they've done it, and how do you know they're not, like, lying? I want to know for myself, but I know that I also will never do that.
That's, I think, I don't know, because some of the stuff I was reading, it's like people were like, I just had to know for myself, so I did it. And I was like, I don't have that much confidence in anything I do to be like, let me just see if I can do this. Like, I'm not like, let me just see if I can just portal to another dimension. Like I'm 90% sure that nothing would happen, but that 10% of me is so strong and being like, no, bitch, don't do it.
I would never be able to, based solely on the fact that you probably have to memorize those directions. And I would. Oh my
God, I know. What the fuck? I had to keep looking at the numbers. I was like, wait, what? Don't get off. Don't get off. Get off. Don't get off the elevator. Don't. Eye contact.
There's so many rules.
I already fucked it all up.
If I had no family and like no pets and like a shitty job and nothing to really keep me going, okay, I might try it, but just the thought that you might not be able to come back to your life is enough to make me not want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know. I could see, okay, and then you're doing this and you're going to be the only person in the other world. Well, what's the point of that? Like, I'm pretty introverted, but I mean, not one living being, like, not even an animal is going to be there.
And what's the point of the other world? Like, that's kind of...
Yeah, that's the
kind
other
of blows my mind, is it like...
There's no point to it, like, that people know about. It's just another world that people feel like they need to get to, I guess.
So, like, an alternate dimension?
Yeah. But then, like, how would I eat? I don't even know how to grow food. Who's going to take care of me?
So also I wonder if you do this thing and it's successful and you step off, is everybody stepping off into a different dimension? It's literally just you. What about other people who have done this and not been able to come back, or like chose not to come back? Are they there?
I don't know, because it says that if you've done it right, you're the only one there. So maybe it's like partial dimensions. I don't know how I don't know. It's kind of fucking with my head right now because You're the only one there. So maybe it's just like black holes.
That's true. Did you ever see that movie with Matthew McConaughey?
Which Interstellar?
Yes.
No,
Probably
because
my
one, it was too long, and two, they were talking about dust and corn, and it lost me there. Although Matthew McConaughey is a zaddy.
it's my favorite movie
Okay, I'll have to watch it then.
because it's so out there, but it also gets you thinking. We don't know as much as we think we do about outer space. And like obviously we've never explored black holes. We don't know what a black hole would do if you were to go through it. We can just like hypothesize, you
Yeah.
know? We've never really explored because we haven't physically been able to the depths of outer space. So outer space and the ocean, I could spend the rest of my life researching them because they're so unknown. It
Yeah.
blows my mind. But anyway, Interstellar, he gets trapped in a black hole and it's just a fucking trippy movie. I was also high when I watched it.
Oh, that's the best. I think you get like your best movie experience when that happens. Could you imagine watching like one of the Avengers Endgame movies with the 3D glasses while high? Like
I can't do
you
3D movies. I'll throw up.
Okay, so see, then smoke a little bit, calm yourself down, sit all the way in the back.
True, true.
Like
Or like, oh my gosh, what about like one of those Johnny Depp movies like Willy Wonka or Alice in Wonderland? Just
oh
fucking
my God,
trippy
Willy
ass
Wonka,
movies.
first of all, is Violet okay?
It's so violent. Uh, this was such a good episode. That is such a wild theory.
Yeah, I
So
like
that's
it
what you
though.
believe.
That's I believe this, yeah.
I love it. I kind of believe it too. How many stories were in the Cecil? There's 600 rooms, so there's probably
I
a
mean,
good.
I know the Black Dahlia for sure is like another one that is like really famous for being there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wouldn't stay somewhere like that. I'm sorry. I mean, I love this kind of like information and spooky stuff, but it's like
Yeah.
knowing like, hey, someone died in this bed, sleep in it tonight. Like, bitch, so tired. I literally just want to sleep. I don't want to get woken up by some
Right.
ghost tugging at my toe.
I'll go do like a paranormal experience, but I'm not going to stay the night there. Also, I am not going to go to Skid Row.
No, I'm
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 not going to
not.
go anywhere near it.
Like, I'm definitely not. Like, what the hell?
Like, I'm going to stay as far away from it as I'm just not going to go to LA.
No, never. Okay, so I'm looking at over 20 murders at the Cecil Hotel from Wikipedia.
Wow. So there's got to
Yeah.
be some bad energy at that hotel. There's
Yeah,
got to
so
be.
definitely the Black Dahlia is like the most well known, and then the other one, like you said, Richard Ramirez. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then all the others were situations.
Well, damn. Do
Well,
you have
damn.
Well, damn. Do you have anything else to talk about with these two cases?
I don't, but they're like probably one of my top five for sure.
I am obsessed with missing persons cases, and I mean, technically, this is not a missing persons case, but it's still unsolved. So I guess really just any unsolved or missing persons. I love it. It's like this never-ending puzzle that I want to solve.
Yeah, and it's like I think it drives me more towards that because it's like you can't solve it,
Yeah.
or it's like one of the ones where like people like I feel like when serial killers admit to as to why they kill, I feel like they're lying. I'm like, no. That ain't it.
No.
No. Next. You can move on with your bullshit. No.
Hey, so are you like in the same mindset as me where okay, so all the people who go missing in national forests, right? Or like people who just up and fucking vanish. Have you ever thought that it's like they're stepping into alternate dimensions and never being able to come back, or like they're being abducted or something like that? Have you ever had those things cross your mind, but you're like, wow, I shouldn't really talk about this because people are going to commit me to an institution if I say like
Yeah.
this is what I think?
Yeah. Like I literally think the craziest things and I'm like, yeah, it's totally 100% possible and has happened. And Gordon looks at me like I'm a fucking sociopath. Like today, when I was telling him about what I was going to talk about, he just looked at me and I was like, is this my audience? I think my audience hates me. Does everyone hate this podcast? Because the way he looked at me, I was like, I'm going to quit right now.
Oh my God.
Like
No.
he was not into it. And I was just like, okay, cool. Glad we had this talk. So anyways,
I
but
like to
yeah, like
think that,
like a short story is my stepdad showed me this thing and he's like, yeah, it's called the hole from hell. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, there's this hole in the earth in some other country, like Ireland or some shit.
I've heard of
And
this.
it's like a hole. They can't measure how deep it is because it's so deep and you could just hear people screaming. And it's real. Like I saw it on the computer.
Holy shit.
And it's like, and he's like, yeah, they literally think it's a hole that leads to hell, but they literally can't find out how deep it is because it gets too hot and like whatever tools they use, like burn up, it get fucked. And then you can just hear people screaming. And I was like, that's a thing. And I'm
Okay,
sticking to
why
it
have we not talked about that yet?
because I just remembered.
Okay, can you get into Google Docs and add it? I've
Yeah.
added so many things. My dad is also the sweetest and keeps sending me weird stories through Facebook Messenger. And he told me about like his house was haunted when he was a little kid. So I'm gonna
What?
tell, yeah, he's told me that before and I forgot about it, but like weird shit happened.
Oh my God. Okay.
But anyway,
Hellhole.
hellhole added.
Hellhole. Added.
Um, One thing about our podcast, and I agree with you, like if some people who don't believe in this were to hear us talk about it, they would probably be like, "Wow, I'm never listening to this again." But I like to think that most people are very open-minded, and whether or not they believe in it, they would still be interested to like think about the possibilities of like what if. I'm
Yeah, and
not
that's,
saying that
yeah.
I think that every abduction that has ever happened is a fucking alien, but there are some that are just so fucking wild that that is just kind of where my mind goes because I have such an open mind and I'm so open to different possibilities that we can't really subconsciously understand.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's some things that I am closed-minded. Like celery is not good. I don't care what the fuck you put on it.
Oh
That
my
shit is
God,
gross.
it's horrible. It's
I hate
fucking
celery. I hate it.
disgusting.
I hate it with peanut butter. I hate it dipped in anything. If you cook it in soup, it's just mushy, disgusting, but I'll still eat it if it's in soup.
Yeah.
But I fucking hate celery. Closed-minded, can't change my mind. But when it comes to things that are unexplained and unknown, I just love the idea of having the opportunity to explore those things. Like I love talking to people like when it comes to religion
Yeah.
and really controversial topics. I love hearing what people have to say. Like, obviously, everyone has their own opinions. I
Yeah.
have my own. I'm never going to discount anyone for what they think or believe.
No,
But
because it's
I just
unknown.
like, because I mean, what you think is based off of how you were raised and what you were taught, where you're from. So many factors influence what you believe. And that's why I love talking about this stuff because, like, even with the Maura Murray case, people think her boyfriend did it. Okay, well, what makes you think that? Like,
Yeah.
what has shaped your mind to believe that that's what happened? Or some people are like, oh no, she just like killed herself. Okay, well, what makes you think that? It's just crazy how everyone has all these different opinions. And that's why I love talking about this stuff because there's no for sure answer. And that's what makes it fun. I think things that have like a concrete answer are fucking so lame.
So
Like
lame. That's
math,
why,
lame.
I mean,
Math, lame.
I don't get me wrong, I love true crime and I don't want to say I love murder because that's fucked up, but I'm
But
more interested in like the unsolved cases because murder is so definite. You know what
yeah.
happened, the person's been convicted. It's so definite, but I just love like a puzzle. Also, I am way more excited now that I've done my research on the flat earth thing to talk to Mark because you said that his belief is more like biblical, right?
Yeah, like, he does have, well, at least from what we've talked about, he does have biblical views when it comes to that. Yeah.
And I mean, I watched like a ton of YouTube videos and read a ton of articles and even listened to like an audio book on it on both sides. And so I'm just so interested to like pick his brain and kind of like give him my opinion, not in a way that's like you're fucking wrong,
Right,
but
right.
just what I kind of believe after doing all this research. And I just want to hear what he has to say and talk about it because it's such a strange thing. And immediately when you say that you're going to talk about flat Earth, people are like, oh, wow, I'm not going to listen to that. That's fucking
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
The
It's
Earth
like, you
is round.
fucking flat earthers. But then it's like, have you fucking been to space, Sharon? Have you
Yeah.
seen it with your own two fucking eyes,
And
bitch?
I'm
No?
not saying that I believe in flat Earth because I have thought the Earth has been round my whole life, but I'm open to the fucking possibility because I'm not a closed-minded, ignorant slut. You know?
Exactly. Yes, bitch. Same. When I first started talking to Mark about this at work, he was like, so what do you think about, because I asked him something like, what do you think about aliens?
Yeah.
And he like shut me down. And I was like, all right, what do you think about this? And he like shut me down. He's like, but you know what? And I was like, bitch, tell me about it. Because I think I watched that Netflix documentary,
Yeah.
and I honestly, a lot
It
of
has
people
you
at the
questioning.
it had me questioning. I thought a lot of those people were kind of crazy at the conventions. The guy who was building the flat earth tables, bro,
Yeah.
that was some art. But
It really was.
but at the same time, like at the very end, how everyone's like, "Oh no, it was disproven. It was disproven with a laser." And I was like, I kind of believe in it a little bit more now because of watching this show.
Yeah.
And I kind of like thinking about maybe it's just a big lie because there's literally no proof.
I know you're right. I love
That's
thinking
why
that
I go
too.
into space myself and see it.
True,
So,
which might happen one day, but who knows? You'll just have to tune in for our episode on flat Earth because I think it's going to be really fun. We might actually have to make it a two-parter depending on how long we talk.
it'll probably have to be two parts, but I'm so
But that's okay.
excited.
So you want to hit us with an outro?
Okay, sounds good. You guys can follow us at Wild and Woke Podcast, or is it Pod? No, it's just Wild and Woke
No,
Pod.
yeah, Wild and Look Pod.
I always want to say podcast. I feel like
Well,
pod is
it's
like,
not podcast.
yeah, okay. Well, I feel like I'm like old, like Wild and Woke Pod, like ooh. So you can find us over at Wild and Woke Pod on Instagram. From there, just please press the link tree button. Like, just help yourself and just do it that way. Because number one, by we, Caroline is the most active on Instagram. So you can slide into her DMs, but say, hey Ariana, if you want to talk to me, but Caroline will hopefully tell me. Um, so you can find us over there. We do have a Twitter. We are going to work on our YouTube channel and actually filming for our Patreons. You can watch us film without bras on. So,
I mean, with shirts on.
but there's not going to be a bra on underneath.
Ooh.
It's cold in Florida, y'all. Okay, let me stop. So that's where you can follow us. I'm so sorry. I'm trash.
No, you're fine. Also, please, I'm going to keep saying this every episode. If you have a crazy story to tell us about like murder or crime or aliens or ghosts, send it to us. I'm going to read it, even if it's not good.
Or you know what, even like our little tangent we just went on, send us like your thoughts on shit and then we can just break it down and go through it, because if you have some deep shit you want to talk about, hello, I'm here for it. Like so on our Google Doc, we have a really wide variety of shit. Like one of the things that are on here that I really want to talk about is like mental health. Also, is Trisha Paytas okay? That's could probably go with mental health.
Also, we have a whole episode we want to do on sustainability and like living off the grid.
Yeah. Another one that I'm kind of want to do is sugar babies. And then I really just want to get into a whole episode about like, this isn't so gay, maybe just like for Valentine's, but like a love episode and like what people think. Because I was on, I find these dark black hole things. I just deep dive about like polygamy. I think I was researching Big Love, if you've ever seen that show.
Yeah.
And then I went down this dark hole of like polygamy and like multiple wives and then like, yeah, so that I want to do. That I definitely want to do.
I have some thoughts on that, good and bad.
If you guys have anything, like, just tell us about your day at this point. I don't know.
Like, I just want to hear from you. I want to know that people like us.
Do you even know me?
Okay. Anyway, that's the outro.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.